then I don't need that. Thanks for coming this morning. My name is Chad Aldis. I'm Executive Director of School Choice Ohio. Typically when our organization is involved in education discussions, it's going to be invariably about school choice and parental options. Today, though, today we're going to emphasize the point that what we are most concerned about, and the reason we've always supported school choice and empowering parents, is the simple idea that we believe that all children should be in an effective school that meets their learning needs. In Ohio, as in most states, the reality of that situation is that most students currently and will always attend a public school. So if we want to reach, as a state, if we want to reach our economic goals and we want to allow individuals students to reach their dreams, then what we need to make sure we do is have our public schools performing at the very highest level possible. So any discussion about public education, at least recently, has inevitably turned to education reform. What can we do better? How can our schools give greater achievement given the finite resources that we have? And a lot of ideas are thrown around. Today we are proud to sponsor a study that's being put out in conjunction with School Choice Ohio and the Freedman Foundation for Educational Choice, looking at lessons Ohio can take from Florida's educational revolution. In the late 1990s, when Governor Jeb Bush was elected as governor of Florida, he instituted broad-based education reforms that now the results are showing have paid some dividends. This study will go through some of some of the changes made in Florida, along with the improvements they've seen, and hopefully give us some things to push forward the discussion in Ohio. With us today to talk about and share the study is the study's author, Dr. Matthew Ladner, who is a senior advisor at the Foundation for Excellence in Education in the state of Florida. So, Dr. Ladner.
Thank you. I might kind of like flip-flop between, the PowerPoint stuff and the actual study. Do you guys have an actual physical study? Can't give you one if you don't, but I mean, basically everything I'm going to show you is from the NAEP, which is a set of federal testing data. It's been around since the early 1970s. It's the Federal Department of Education that gives tests to random samples of students now in all 50 states. Okay. Participation in this used to be voluntary, but now it's more or less required. I know y'all left behind. So since 2003, all 50 states have been giving these tests. They regularly give 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math. And this is highly respected. These tests are benchmarked to international exams like the PISA, the TIMSS, and things like that. And really, they're the only way to reliably compare state A to state B. Right? Anything else you want to do kind of has problems. Comparing state tests to each other doesn't make any sense. SAT tests are self-selected samples of students. Only the kids who want to go to college are taking, etc. Okay. So the good news is that the NAEP actually shows that there has been a remarkable amount of progress, especially for disadvantaged students in academic performance in the state of Florida. And I'll get to why I believe that is. But in 1998. Governor Jeb Bush, actually then candidate Bush, campaigned on a set of education reforms that he said he was going to do if he were elected when he was in office. He actually did them. A lot of them were very controversial at the time, but now we can actually kind of see the results. So, and just for a little bit of perspective on these NAEP tests, 10 points roughly equals an average grade level worth of progress. Right? So say we're talking about the 4th grade NAEP reading test. If I gave that test over to 5th graders, I'd expect them to do 10 points better than the 4th graders. So it gives you kind of some scale involved here in looking at these improvements. So these data are available on the internet. You can Google NAEP. They have something that says clear, explore data. You can go look these numbers up for yourself if you want to. It's it's a little tricky, but you can figure it out. So what I'm showing you here are the combined NAEP learning gains for all 50 states for the entire period that we have data for all 50 states. And that is from 2003 to 2009. So it's combined, 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math, basically taking the 2009 scores and subtracting out the 2003 scores, This is the amount of progress made, and this particular slide is for African American students. Okay, Florida is the nation's leader. That's a 53-point gain. So if you average that out amongst 4 tests, we're talking about a grade and a half level worth of progress over a 6-year period. Okay, the good news is that all states are making some gains, right? You can see the national average is 23 points, so Florida more than doubled the national average on gains for African American students. Down there in green is the Ohio number. They're at 7, so Ohio is significantly worse in promoting academic gains for African American students than the national average. This is the same sort of analysis for free and reduced lunch eligible kids. These are low-income kids. Maximum family income under the free reduced lunch program is about $40,000 for a family of 4, but 80% of these students actually make $28,000 or less. They're eligible for free lunch. Okay. Florida again is the nation's leader at 47 points. You can see the national average, 22. Ohio comes closer this time to the national average, but still below the national average. Okay. Hispanic students, same general pattern. Really big gain in Washington, D.C. Maybe some unusual things going on there. Florida has a gain of 38 points. It's near the top. And by the way, because these charts exclude the 1998 to 2003 period, where there was also a lot of gains in Florida, it's kind of like Florida's fighting the money in behind its back, still among the nation's leaders. So the way this translated in practice is these are just the raw scores of the 4th grade NAEP reading assessment. And in Florida, what I'm showing you are only the African American scores, which are 211. I live in the state of Arizona. Our statewide average for all students is 210. Okay, so after years of progress on African American scores, Florida's African American students are scoring as well or better than the statewide scores for all of these states. Okay, so you need to think about that for a moment. For Arizona, Scottsdale, Flagstaff, Catalina Foothills, Prescott, all of our wealthy, almost entirely Anglo areas are in our statewide average. Florida's African American students are still outscoring us. This is a chart showing kind of a data on the academic achievement gap, okay, for Hispanic students. Okay, this is again 4th grade reading data. Data at the bottom are the nationwide average for Hispanic students. The data at the top, the nationwide average for Anglo students. Okay, so let's look at 2009. It's a 25-point gap between the reading achievement of Hispanics and Anglos. Right? And that's huge, right? Remember, 10 points equals about a grade level worth of progress. Okay, the gap, if you just look at the blue line and the black line, the gap is narrowing, but not very much. Okay, that red line is Hispanic students in Florida. Okay, and Hispanic students in Florida, because they've made much larger gains, are actually getting close to narrowing the nationwide achievement gap for Hispanic students. Okay, and I want to note that this NAEP test reading, 4th grade reading, is given in English. Okay, so this is a remarkable amount of progress. This is showing the same map as before, but only for Hispanic students in Florida compared to the statewide averages in these other states. Okay. The statewide average in 2009 for Hispanic students in 4th grade reading was 223. That's not only higher than, say, my statewide average for all students, 210. It's more than a grade level higher than it. So you've got a situation where Florida's Hispanic students are tying and outscoring some very predominantly wealthy states. Now, you notice Ohio is not on the list. The statewide average for all students in Ohio is 225. Statewide average for Hispanic students in Florida, 223. If you looked at the two lines, they're coming up on you like that. Okay, so this is actually a very hopeful message, especially for states that are going through student demographic changes. Demography is not destiny, right? The bottom line message here is that low-income kids can make progress, and they can make a lot of progress if you structure it correctly. So in the actual study, if you look at charts, say 3 through 6, you'll see specific comparisons between NAEP scores in Ohio and NAEP scores in Florida. Okay, and the consistent pattern is that Florida started off below Ohio, and now they moved ahead of Ohio. And it's especially stark if you compare, for instance, African American students in Ohio to African American students in Florida, Hispanic students in Ohio, Hispanic students in Florida.